In terms of that kind of engagement that you're talking about, and kind of educating the opposition on the advantages and the benefits of this plan, what will that involve? I mean, will there be many kind of behind closed doors meetings with council members who obviously have to vote on the zoning text amendments? Will there be further engagement with community boards? Can you kind of give us a sense of what that'll look like on the part of HTC?
Well, again, I want to stress that I have great respect for people who have a different opinion than us. And it may be that we can't convince everybody that has a different opinion to change their mind. Sure. It may also be that some people will convince us that we should change our position, even if it's just around the margins. And I'm open to that. But at this stage of the game, I think that the best work that we can do to help advance the mayor's plan is to talk to elected leaders and validators out in our community about why this is important to hotel trades. So if I talk to an elected, if I talk to a community board member, what I want to say to them is, I have members that live in your community. They're real people who are faced with this problem. I have many members who are income challenged, rent challenged, in terms of having to pay more than 1/3 of their income on a monthly basis for rent. And I mean 1/3 of their gross income, not 1/3 of their net income. In fact, over 50% of renters in New York City are in that exact boat right now. I want to say to elected officials that very real human beings that live in your neighborhood, that you represent and that I represent, are faced with this problem. Together, as their representatives, me representing them on the workplace, you representing them for everything else, should be able to work constructively to help the mayor achieve his goals, to preserve and to create affordable housing. And so, to me, it's a very simple matter of entering into a respectful dialogue with people who are, at the end of the day, going to be the final decision makers on this.
So, one of the concerns that we've heard a lot from advocates and also some community board members as well is that specifically with regards to the mandatory inclusionary component, is that the depths of affordability would not necessarily go to the lowest income bracket in the city, who obviously, among many other demographics, need housing, very desperately. So, is that a concern at all of yours? Have you kind of looked into the kind of fine print of mandatory inclusionary and this idea that it's a kind of one size fits all regardless of kind of the neighborhood demographics and things of that sort?
I want to be careful that we don't sacrifice the practical and the doable for the perfect, because we're not going to get perfect. Perfect, in my view, is a massive infusion of federal and state money to build affordable housing, period, end of story. If we had that money, we could do it in the most high road way imaginable. And most of the discussion that we're having now would go away. That money doesn't exist. And I don't believe there's a pathway to access multiple billions of dollars from the federal government, for example, to do housing.
Sure.
So there's only one other way to do it. We've got to rezone the city so that in certain neighborhoods they can go vertical, in order to create the economic incentive for developers to be able to build some affordability in their development projects. At the end of the day, developers are going to have to purchase land. So let's play the tape out.
Sure.
There's a neighborhood somewhere in the city that gets rezoned, and a developer now decides that they want to build affordable housing. They're going to have to assemble a plot of land to do it on. The value of that land has now gone up simply because it's been rezoned and because it has more floor area ratio. So they're going to have to pay a premium for the land, and then they're going to have to go to the capital markets and access investment money or access funding in order to get the project off the ground. And they're going to have to go through the complicated dance of putting up a high-rise building in New York City. The expense and the difficulty. Then when they're done with that, they're going to have to pay back the bank and make a profit. And so because this is not being done with public money, we're going to have to create a pathway that makes it economically possible for developers to do it and make some profit.
Sure.
As a result of that, it may be difficult not to have as much of the affordable housing as we all would like to be at a lower end. In a perfect world, I would endorse that completely. And if somebody can show me how you can economically do all the things I just said and have the majority of the housing be at a lower level, well, I'm certainly interested in hearing about that. So, like I said, I want to be very careful that we don't sacrifice what's practical and doable for what's perfect. We're not going to get perfect.
Right.